Hey everyone, it's Frodan with gameplay from Sett 11. This was recorded during the playtest with a bunch of creators, journalists, media partners, websites, a lot of people who are just doing a lot of TFT stuff. Some notable players in this lobby, for example, is like Solus, who is another streamer, and other competitors from different regions like Lalana. This was a game that I felt like was really fun, but I didn't actually record it with my cam on. So I'm going to do a little bit of gameplay commentary to maybe explain some of the thoughts and processes of what I was doing while I was kind of sitting in silence / on a Discord call. So I figured it's really good to help explain a little bit of what my thinking is. So early game, I've discovered that I think Ink Shadow is actually a really powerful synergy that you try to play around. So right away, the first thing I want to think about is what is my Exalted? Exalted is different for each game that you play. It selects different units. And Exalted, if you can get early on, is really powerful because it gives you that early EXP boost, which can be really valuable and basically kind of works like early gold generation, which would be huge. So you always want to check that and see what it is and think about if you can play around it. The one caveat I will say is that Exalted seems to me right now, based on the first few games that I played, you can't really get easy synergy. Like, for example, you won't really get 2 Behemoths or 2 Bruisers or 2 Wardens to really get the Exalted synergies going on. So you kind of have to always find a way to make them work. But it's a really splashable trait, and I think it's really strong to play around if you can get early. I get 2-star Behemoths. Behemoths is kind of like Guardians in the sense that when you die, they pass it on to the nearest ally as a defensive shield. But Behemoth is kind of on death as opposed to dropping to a certain HP point. But I like it, you know, playing around 2-star units, having a lot of tanky units. I have a Yorick in shop, so I can go for 4 Behemoth. Looking at my augments, I try to play around like things that I feel like are interesting, but also towards this part of the playtest, I felt like if I was taking like Sage count, for example, I was hard forcing Sages and I wasn't getting a lot of good results. And a lot of players kind of understood how to play early game. Sage is kind of like strategist from Sett 9, I believe, where you kind of play based off the front 2, back 2 rows. So I didn't decide to go for that. Instead, I go for Build a Bud, which is a new augment that says get a random 3-star 1 cost. You don't get gold. I'm not sure why they have 0G. And a full completed item anvil, which is pretty insane if you think about it, because then you get to start itemizing your 1 cost 3-star immediately. So in this spot, I'm thinking about how do I play around the Ahri, right? So I have a Fated Arcanist. I'm looking if I have another Arcanist. I do. I'm an idiot. I have a Nico in the shop, but I didn't see it. But instead, I'm just going to go for a Shojin plus Nashor's build because I want to get the mana generation on Ahri and just start tempoing up. So if I noticed that I have Nico in the shop. That's an Arcanist. That's just something that I'll get better at as you continue to play throughout the set. You start to have recognition. Nico is like a frontline Arcanist tank. She like jumps up in the air and flutters and does a little bit of damage and drops down. So just something to think about. She's like a frontline. She's not a backline carry. She's like a frontline Arcanist. And Ahri is a 1-cost mage carry, right? Arcanist, kind of like Annie from Sett 10. So you can just itemize her as like a damage source. She doesn't really have much utility. Okay, Teemo lets you reroll all your augments in extra time this game. So the encounter is you get free rerolls on your augments, which is nice. You know, not like a bad thing, just a nice item value add. I had a 2-star Cho'Gath here, so I have 2-star Behemoths. I put the Nico in, so things are looking better. One thing to keep in mind is just because you go to the center of the carousel doesn't necessarily mean that you change your stage cadence. This is 2-3, which normally thinks you're gonna go to carousel the next round, but the encounter counts as 1 extra round here. So it doesn't actually factor in like that, so it doesn't change your EXP. So, for example, I would still need to pump 8 gold in order to get to level 5 in this juncture. But if you played TFT in other sets, 2-3 was always going to be 4 out of 10. So basically, the TLDR is encounters don't actually count towards EXP, towards your natural progression to level. I'm really strong right now because I have Shojin Nashors, and I'm thinking about if I can complete like a Gunblade. At this point, I'm just using old builds from previous sets where people play like Shojin Nashors plus a Gunblade on Ahri. It's actually literally the build that she played in Sett 10. So I'm just trying to use like existing knowledge. Ahri has, I think, 60 mana, so she's a lot higher in terms of the mana cost. So you don't necessarily get the same like effect as Blue Buff and Nashors from previous set, but I think it's still good. Going up against the level 5 player here, and I'm just thinking about making gold. I am holding onto heavenly units. I have a Shwaka in shop, but Shwaka is really expensive, so I might end up passing it here. I have a Kiana on the bench. Kiana is this unit. She adds a bunch of AD. Heavenly, for people who don't know, is a trait that gives you stats that are unique to the champion, kind of like Guild from Sett 7, Dragonlands. This means that when you add more heavenly units, depending on which heavenly units you have, gives you a different type of unit. So if you add Soraka to your team, you get AP for your whole team. But if you add Kiana for Heavenly and you get 3 Heavenly that way, then you get AD instead. You don't get AP if you don't have Soraka. So each of them add different traits. I think there's resistances, crit, HP, AP, AD, etc., etc. And that's really cool because that gives a lot of flexibility to how Heavenly as a trait functions. Sometimes in Heavenly, you're going to want to play around half of it. Sometimes you're going to want to play around a lot of it. And I think it's going to be really interesting. Shen 2 is a tank that gives you flat damage reduction. If you know Tom Kench from Sett 10, for example, Tom Kench does flat damage reductions with his ability. Shen does that, but he buffs the adjacent units as well. So kind of a nice tank to put between units. Lux is a corner-to-corner Arcanist, so wherever you position Lux, you want her to be on the opposite side of your opponent's carry because she's going to go to one corner to the other. Just like that, and she also does a little bit of a stun, so some nice utility, and you can splash her in. Important to note that Porcelain is going to be something you want to play around for the Arcanist because the 5-cost Lissandra is also a Porcelain Arcanist. So you have 2 Arcanists who are Porcelain, hence you're probably going to want to play around Porcelain a little bit. At this point, I'm thinking about how I can get my 4th Arcanist in, and I find an Alawi. Alawi is a frontline support tank. She is actually kind of similar to what she does in Sett 10 in that when she casts, she summons a tentacle, except you just don't come with the 2 tentacles. And then a little bit of a different interaction. The most important thing to remember is that Alawi is a very versatile unit, and her traits are quite good because she gets Warden, which gives you the immediate defensiveness. Warden gives you a little bit extra durability towards the first half of the fight. And then Ghostly is something that's just like a little bit extra healing and utility, depending on how many Ghostly you have in the board. I anticipate Alawi to be kind of a lot like how Echo is when he's like a frontline 3-cost. It's just like a very versatile trait that goes as a frontline to a lot of AP compositions and can hold a lot of defensive items really nicely. I'm on a 5 streak here. Things are looking really good so far. And I'm still looking for my 4th Arcanist. But the important thing is that I don't actually need 4 Arcanists nearly as much because the way I'm viewing it is I have RE3. And I think that if I have RE3, I just need to make sure I have good frontline to support her. And I don't really lack damage. I just want to make sure that I have good enough frontline support. Okay, items come out as sword, glove, cloak, and belt. This is actually super awkward. And I think at this point, if I remember correctly, I actually didn't slam anything because I didn't have anything that was quite good. Actually, the only thing you could slam here is a guard breaker because guard breaker does give you some AP stats and a little bit of attack speed, which can work out well with the Nashers and the Shojin. I do level to try to play a 4th Arcanist again, so that way it feels like a meaningful breakpoint. I am win streaking right now, and I want to preserve as much HP as I possibly can. I queue up into a player who is playing all 1-stars and Kha'Zix too. Kha'Zix is not that big of a threat. He kind of jumps onto backline if he can get to the lowest HP unit, but Kha'Zix in general is not very consistent right now to play around, in my opinion. I think he's kind of an inconsistent carry, just right now, until maybe they tweak him a lot on PBE. So I was not really that worried. I didn't feel like slamming. At this point, I'm pretty much cruising. I'm thinking about adding more Arcanists, trying to push to level 7, level 8, roll and hit Lissandra, and kind of take it from there. My augment choices, I didn't really like any of these because I'm such high tempo. I don't want final reserves. I'm not trying to reroll anything else because I already have RE3, so I don't need prismatic tickets. And Ghostly Crown, I'm thinking about if there's anything that has synergy, but it's not that important. Too much candy was a really interesting thought here. Your rerolls cost 0 gold. Every 3 rerolls, the cost goes up by 1 gold. At the start of each stage, your reroll is reset to 0. So basically, you get 3 free rerolls, and then you get 3 discounted rerolls, and then your rerolls after that get a little bit more expensive. Kind of hard and abstract to think about like how impactful it is. And for me, I decided to go instead for a new augment called 2 for 1, which is gain a copy of the first champion you buy every single round, which is really, really fun. So when I buy Lee Sin here, I buy 2 Lee Sins, which means that I basically get 4 gold for free, and I get the power to spike and maybe have choices of what I want to actually 2-star. So if I find an Alawi, for example, that instantly becomes an Alawi too. And if I have 7 copies of something, you buy it, you instantly 3-star it. So it's really, really fun augment, not only to econ, but also to chase those 3 stars. Don't think I really want to buy Irelia. Irelia is an AD champion, and Lee Sin as well. I bought this Lee Sin because Lee Sin is kind of like a high tempo unit that I could play around, but mainly I was thinking about trying to make 10 gold. Lee Sin is a melee fighter in the front line. So he just throws his Sonic Wave, he tries to kick, and he does a stun. He also, I think he also mana reaves. Lee Sin does a lot. I anticipate this unit to actually be quite good once they get his numbers correct, because I think that him as a duelist is actually a lot of tempo if you can get him online quickly. But I'm not entirely sure yet. Again, remember, this is all like in playtest. I played about 10 games or so. I don't really have the most amount of information about like where every unit sits in terms of the tier list and where its utility is. I'm saving the cloak for Spark because I really want some shred. I also think I need some anti-heal. I'm a little bit wary that I use a belt, so no anti-heal option is going to be really tricky. This row effect is a loon in the back line. A loon is a unit right here, actually in the top left corner that I'm circling with my mouse. She is the sister of Aphelios. She's a new champion in League of Legends. In fact, Loon is just kind of like a TFT feature here. She shoots that row of damage that you see. Loon provides a lot of shreds, so I actually could think about teching in Loon myself, because when she hits, she shreds the units, so I get a little bit more magic damage in, and also just an attack speed buff. So a lot of utility in Loon, but I'm not really playing around her. She's an Invoker, and Invoker are much more mana based, and I'm thinking about more AP strength, right? Just having the raw magic damage to get through with Arcanist. So another thing to think about when you're playing the set is how do things like Arcanist and Invokers and some of these other AP units like flex together and mesh together. It's something that you're going to probably experiment a little bit and might be confusing at first. But just remember that when you're playing the Arcanist, though, it's a little bit awkward, at least right now, how to link the Invoker and Arcanist trait together. I imagine over time there might be some opportunities to play like a little bit of mix, like maybe play Arcanist and Invokers and then kind of mix and match. But I struggled to really get a board online unless you found Annie, and Annie is a 4 cost, and that takes like a long time to get online. Annie's like a frontline tank that you're like thinking about. Okay, so I found Alawi 2, and now I tech in like another Shen because I frankly didn't have like another good unit to play, and I didn't want to play like, you know, like a random Yone. Yone is like an AD champion. Riven's kind of like an AD bruiser, so I was just like, I'll just throw another Shen in, because if he's a behemoth that buffs an ally when he dies, he still benefits, so it gives me a little bit extra front line. That being said, I'm going up against a Story Weaver board that summons the Kale. Kale in this case did like attack speed. That Sivir in the back line just kind of cut through my front line. I don't really have defensive items, so it kind of makes sense. Okay, so another encounter where Udyr gives you components for 5 gold, and I choose magic instead of attack and defense. Attack gives you AD items like a sword and a bow. Defense gives you things like a belt and a vest, and magic gives you things like a rod and a tear. So it felt like I wanted more AP items, and I get to slam a Ionic Spark, and it only costs you 5 gold. Very nice, pretty flexible. It's just like a random component anvil augment that you get. So I lost my streak, and that sucks, but at least my items are good, and I preserved a lot of the HP, and now I'm in commanding position. I'm positioning Ahri in the bottom center because, as you can see, she also targets adjacent enemies as well, which can be really nice for her AoE. Kind of like what Senna does in Set 10 with her True Damage Rapid Fire, where she kind of like does this AoE circle and you hit other enemies. And Ahri doesn't do it nearly as much AoE, but that's what I was thinking about when I was putting her in the back center. If you hear any noise, that might be because I was hopping on call with some people to try and talk to them between game. In fact, I might end up muting it because I think I sat on call with Iniko, who wanted to get some of my thoughts and feedback on the game. So it's a lot of yapping. Another Alawi, so I could think about chasing Alawi 3. And at this point, I actually did contemplate if I want to go for like reroll Arcanist in general, like maybe 3-star Lux, 3-star Alawi, and try to just go for a lot of them. I take in Porcelain. Porcelain is not actually very good in this spot because I'm not really carrying Lux nor Ashe, and that attack speed buff for boiling, right, is not actually that good. But I decided to just tech it in anyways because, I don't know, I guess I wanted to see how good Ashe 1 can be without Sniper. And I think it's important to experiment with these kinds of things. Going up against someone who's still carrying Kha'Zix 2, which is not very impressive, but he has Yone 2 as well. Yone with 1 item. Ashe is an attack speed carry. Every 3 attacks, she gets more arrows. So as you're racking up attack speed on her, she scales more with her ability. So I think that Rage Blade is going to be a really good item on her, for example. The more you attack, the stronger she gets. And I'm holding Ashe pair because of things like 2 for 1, so I might as well go for it. I don't want to pick binary here because I already have 3 items on other units. I don't pick Harmesis. Don't think Harmesis makes sense. I don't have a lot of melee carries. I see something called Call to Chaos, which is gain a powerful random reward. So it's playtest. I gotta click that. I can't just like take binary and just be like, okay, well, I top forward, nice. I take Call to Chaos, and I'm glad I watched this back because I don't actually know what happened. All of a sudden I looked over. I'm level 820 gold, so I'm level 7 6 exp. Next turn I go to 8 out of 40, and then now I get to 20. So I think I got 60 exp if my calculation is correct, which let me actually fast 9. So my interpretation of Call to Chaos is that it's just a prismatic orb that just does a bunch of powerful things, kind of like gives you a bunch of gold, gives you a bunch of exp. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it gives you like multiple tomes or something like that. There could be a lot of different things, and I think it's part of the fun of, like, you know, maybe that kind of language, like you don't really know what it is. It could be really good. I believe this is Soju that I'm going up against. Soju has a Yasuo 3 that he also took with Build a Bud. I remember this is Soju now, and I didn't say in the beginning because I remember I was playing with some influencers. But Soju was trash talking me during this game and telling me that he's about to school me, and so I really wanted to beat him. But unfortunately I lost, so looks like he gets to laugh at me for now. Hui is the 5 cost that creates a duplicator of a unit that's in the center of your bench. So if I play Hui here, for example, and I get 2 copies of him, I have to do some bench management. And I rolled a little bit because I have like pairs of everything. But whatever unit's in the center of the square, it takes that many units to get God, what am I doing? Come on, Frodan. Oh geez. It's just that I have so many pairs. I think I wanted to roll down here. And again, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go for level 10, like a fast 10, or save up my gold and roll up after I have a lot more. So I decided just to roll a little bit because I'm level 9. But whatever unit's in the center is going to duplicate after that many turns based off their cost. So if I put a 1 cost in there, after 1 turn, I get an extra 1 cost of that unit. If I put a 3 cost in there, it takes 3 turns. If I take a 5 cost unit, it's 5 turns. And then that's when I'll be able to get a duplicate copy of it. So Hui is like really powerful if you want to get for these like high tempo 2 costs. So Hui is really strong for those tempo 2 stars, but you can also use it to try to go for, like, you know, the legendaries, and or even use it to go for 3-star. This was an interesting encounter. Morgana fills a carousel with 4 cost champions, so everything is a 4 cost. I think right now I'm eyeing a Ornn, and looks like I don't get it. Oh man, rat. Okay, so I got wait. Soju waited to see what I wanted to get, and then he took it. Okay, all right. You can see this 1 over that Syndra. That just means that that's 1 turn out of 4 that I have until I get another copy of Syndra. And now I'm rolling because I realized that Syndra is a Arcanist, and I can go for 2-star Syndra if I buy her here. So I get this extra Syndra 2, and now I can start itemizing her. I kind of regret putting Gunblade onto Hui. I feel like I should put Gunblade onto Syndra. In fact, I should put anything on Syndra. Do something, Frodan. No? Okay. It's a 2-star Syndra. I'm playing Arcanist. I feel like I should find a way to tie it in somehow. Both Syndra and Ahri are faded Arcanists. Faded is like a way you can soul link 2 champions and get an additional faded bonus. So you think about like true damage from set 10 where you get like a bling bonus. It's the same concept of having a faded bonus, but the condition is you link 2 faded champions together and they get like that bonus that way. And the way you do it is you click and drag and hold it over another unit, and it forms like a bond. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just do exactly what I'm saying. Click like the Ahri and hold it over the Syndra and just wait for like a little soul link to appear, and it should connect. I make Nautilus 2. Nautilus 2 is kind of like Jarvan and Sejuani or Thresh, just like 4 cost frontline units that just cast and do a AoE CC to try to stun and buy time for your team. I take out the Shen because I want to start putting items on my 4 cost 2-star units, so Nautilus should be tankier. I think my positioning is pretty bad because I have my Spark all the way in the top right and all my damage in the bottom left with Ahri and Syndra. I'm going up against a Lissandra who has been very OP during this playtest. Lissandra is disgusting. She is very strong. And so 1-star Lissandra has been carrying a lot of people's boards in the playtest. I'm not making gold here. I'm still holding things because I don't know if I want to go for like a Lowy 3. If I find an Ornn, I can go for Ornn 2. Ornn is a unit that makes items that tailors for your board. So if Ornn casts and he gets an item on Nautilus, for example, it'll be like a defensive item. Or if he makes an item for Syndra, it'll be like a mana or AP item. So Ornn's like kind of nice to include as a utility unit. I look for a Lowy 3 here, and I have a Sett in shop. Sett is the Faded Warden, so you can kind of play this package of Ahri with Syndra and Sett as the Fated, and then you have Warden with the Nautilus, and I don't buy it. Wow, that's actually not very good. I should have bought that for the Fated. I missed that completely. But I luck out and I get a blue buff, and that's opportunity for me to itemize the Syndra, so I finally do that. In my defense, I was not really thinking about this. I, first of all, didn't even really know Sett was Fated. But I was thinking about whether or not I wanted to chase for Syndra 3, because when you're playing 2 for 1, you're thinking about if you can go for these 3-star chases. I wanted to scout around and see if people were playing Syndra. I don't think I saw people playing it, but also it doesn't look like I scouted very much. Going up against another Lissandra board, I anticipate Lissandra to be very, very strong going into the first iteration of PBE. She just does a big amount of stun. She does AoE damage, and if she kills, she prints a loot orb. You see this blue orb? So it's like Lissandra or Tom Kench from previous sets as a legendary unit, where they get the execution, they get an item. So like Lissandra does AoE damage, and if she kills, she gets a loot orb. She does everything. It's ridiculous. So Lissandra was like, it was borderline on the ban list at the playtest, because we were like, hey, just like let's just like stop spamming Lissandra to like, you know, get infinite resources and outcap everything. But I mean, in some playtest sessions, people want to be really sweaty as well to feel like they're playing like a competitive lobby. Okay, so I roll and I hit another Syndra. So now all I need to find is one more Syndra. But I also have the ability to make a Syndra with Hui. So my thought is, hey, I get an extra Syndra. If I don't find another Syndra, then at least in 4 turns, I guarantee get Syndra 3. So it puts like a clock on the rest of the team. Dude, look at this set right here with the Death Blade. And I just one-shot my Syndra. What the heck? Okay. I did not expect that to happen. I just got bopped. That is a really strong Fated board. Aphelios 3, Thresh 3, and the Sett just wrecked me. So now I know that, you know, I'm at 37. I don't even think I'm going to last long enough for the Syndra. Hey, and I hit Syndra 3. So Syndra 3 it is. Nice. And now I guess I get to sell this back for Econ. I take out Hui because I don't really need Hui anymore now that I think about it. This Mythic is not that important right now because Mythic buffs the Mythic units to get stronger with each passing round. It gets stacks similar to Warlord from Set 4 Fates, if you guys remember, where the more rounds you play it, the stronger it usually gets. I just didn't feel like it was that important. Plus, all my items are on Syndra 3 now, so I'm not going to play around Hui. I really wish now that I had a Sett for the Fated, because the Fated would have been a really nice bonus to play around. But I'm an idiot, so it's all good. That being said, look at the Syndra. The butterflies are actually doing so much damage. Syndra is a scaling AP champion. She's so fun to play around because she starts off with, I think, 7 butterflies. And then every time she casts, she summons an additional butterfly. And then she throws all the butterflies. So she's like a scaling 4 cost. The more allies die and the more you cast, the better she gets. So blue buff is really, really good on her. And I want to go blue buff gunplay plus, I think, Jewel Gauntlet or some other utility item because I think she gets a lot of AP from Arcanist. You could probably put Nash's on her as well, but I'm not entirely sure about the animations. I hit Sett again, so I can take out the Wardens. I take out Nautilus because I have a Alawi already, and if I can get Alawi 3, I can go for Alawi 3 plus Sett. In general, though, I think Nautilus 2 is a very good unit to play around, so I'm not actually like very excited to replace Nautilus 2 because I'm worried about my front line. That is an Udyr 2. That is a Xayah 2, and that's an Irelia 2. Oh my god, this is the 5-cost 2-star board. This is Irelia 2, Xayah 2. There's a Lissandra. This is Udyr 2. Udyr's like a really powerful 5-cost that like wants to melee and scale with a bunch of attack speed. Udyr's kind of a little bit like Scion, where like you want him to die, and then when he revives, he like gets a bunch of attack speed and becomes like really, really strong. But I guess this person was playing around tank Udyr. And I don't know. I think Udyr might want BT Titan type stuff. I'm not entirely sure, actually. I find Lissandra myself. Fight fire with fire. And I'm at 26 HP. I'm really trying to make sure that this the Syndra 3 can actually work. And I finally like start to link with the Fated bonus. This is like what I'm talking about. The weird spirit link thing between those two. Oh, actually, is it like matching the colors of their champions, like the blue and the pink? Oh, wow, that's very pretty. This set is gorgeous, by the way. The art on this is like incredible. This set. I'm going against a Loon 3. Loon 3 is no real match. Sidra did 12,000 damage. That's actually insane. Okay, and I hit a Lowy 3 with 2 for 1. So basically, I just found, 3 extra copies of Alawi, and that turned to 6, aka 9 Alawis. And so now my front line's a lot better. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm done rolling for basically the usual core of my board. I think this is like pretty close to it, which is 6 Arcanists, 3 Faded, and then kind of like tech in different Behemoths, Wardens, and different like front line to kind of sustain the Arcanists. So I think this is a real comp. But I decided that instead of going to 10, okay, I pumped to 10, and what do you do at 10? You roll for 5 costs. So I decided to try to see if I can go for a 3-star legendary of some kind. The only 2 I can go for, because I saw that Udyr was a thing, is probably either Sett or Lissandra. But I think I saw multiple Lissandras, so I think Sett's the only one I can. These hexes that Sett are on, I just realized I didn't explain it, are the hexes that he squats, right? So you see him, he's like squatting these champions and puts them on a barbell. And based off their max HP, I believe he gets a bunch of stats. And so you want to have him between the units that are the tankiest in terms of just the raw HP count. And then from there, Sett is kind of like how he is in Sett 4, where he just like goes, he grabs a unit and he body slams them, like goes up and down and body slams them. I did this like little maneuver where I went for a guaranteed Udyr 2 and a Sett 2 by making sure to buy them the right order. At this point, I realized that it's kind of hard to hit any of these 3-star legendaries, so I'm just trying to play for like best board and try to win out with Syndra 3. I put Udyr 2 with the Warmogs inside of the Sett hex because I'm trying to get the extra buffs. Never skip leg day. I like it. I'm going up against the Ghost board. This is pretty straightforward. I think I win versus this. It's 2-star legendaries with like Lissandra 2 and everything like that, but I still think Ghost boards are pretty bugged. In Sett 11, confirmed. They have not fixed that very much, unfortunately. I feel like Ghost bugs are just going to be a thing that is going to be just hard, nearly impossible to fix in TFT. There's just too many different traits and things that don't work. I saw one guy open cell and rolling for Udyr 3, but back sizes have not changed, so it's impossible for him to hit Udyr 3. And then I realized he's not going for Udyr 3. Instead, he was chasing a different 3-star legendary. And I was just counting to see if other people are going for other legendaries. Someone's going for Lissandra 3. But I'm kind of broke. I don't have the ability to roll for much here. And I need a lock for this Sett as well. And I'm locking the Sett because I want to buy the Sett 3 at the beginning of the stage. So this person dies. And now I have the ability to go for a Sett and now have 7 sets. And my Ghost wins. So things are looking pretty good. If I hit Sett 3, I should be able to win, right? No Sett on carousel, so not that important. I'm trying to like deny. I take this Rage Blade because I think that they were looking for it because they wanted to go for Zion Rakan 3. And now I have 7 sets. I want to roll because I think, based off the rules, if I roll and I see a Sett 3 in the shop, I should be able to lock it. I also realized I didn't pick up an orb. That is a Lissandra orb in the top right. I instead make an Edge of Night and I put it onto my Udyr. One thing that's actually pretty sneaky is that if this person's also playing a Rakan, and so Rakan is different from Xayah. So if you're not paying close attention, I'm looking at this and I didn't see that this was Xayah on the bench, and he has a Rakan actually in the second row. And where you place Xayah and Rakan, if you put it in the back row, it turns into Xayah. If you put it in the front rows, the front 2 rows, it turns into Rakan. And so it was one of those things where it was very hard for me to actually notice that. So you can actually be very sneaky with how many copies you have of certain things. I knew that this fight wasn't going to be over, so I bought this Lissandra 2 anyways, because I kind of saw that they were rolling for Lissandra. And at this point, I'm trying out just different nifty positioning things. Like, I want Udyr to take damage. I was told that Udyr wants to die. So having Udyr take aggression is probably not bad, especially because he has an Ezra Knight. And then I realized the big hoax is that this guy actually went for Wukong 3 out of nowhere. And Wukong is crazy big. His staff just like one-shot everything. 17,000 damage. So I'm like, oh god, actually, I have to hit a legendary myself. Like, I can't win with Syndra 3. And so I'm rolling down because I don't want him to deny. This is still a visual bug, by the way. This visual bug does not mean that I still have Hui effect. And at this point, I'm just thinking about like how to maximize my chance for Udyr 3 or Sett 3. He sold all the Udyrs, so it's Udyr or Sett 3. Okay, so all I need to do is take a deep breath, roll down, and find one Sett, or find two deers, I think. And I find Sett 3, which is great. And I put Sett in. I undeafen and I ask 1v1 because I want to see what Sett 3 versus Wukong 3 is. So I wait, but this person does not respond whatsoever. And I'm waiting to see if they're going to sell the board or anything like that. And nothing happens. This person is so not content brained. And now I'm watching this fight. I have Sett 3, but Sett 3 doesn't cast. He got stunned, perma-stunned.
Bro, you didn't do anything. Okay, I mean, you do have an anvil.
Oh god, there's like a TG, there's like a Quicksilver. Oh man, I could just take any of the things. It would have worked. But man, okay, that was the second place. So you know what? It's okay. It's okay. It's embarrassing for sure because obviously I think if I'd done anything, I probably would have won that game. But at the same time, I take no responsibility, man. We're supposed to do these playtests to try to farm content, and like, what is that? I asked him for the 1v1 so I can get Sett versus Wukong 3, and this guy just don't know walls me. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this game. I think it was really fun. Sett 11 has a lot of potential, and I really am looking forward to just pumping out a lot more fun stuff. And the set is so gorgeous, so I can't wait to dive into more. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you next time.